Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with your stars, Sirach Lofton, and very special guest, Terry Farrell. How are you guys doing today?
Really good.
Doing all
My
right.
name is Ryan T. Husk, and we are celebrating Aron Eisenberg. By the way, Terry, do you go by Terry Farrell or Terry Farrell Nimoy now?
Well, I write Farrell Nimoy because I figured, I don't know, it's weird, right? Like,
No?
I do feel like I'm in this odd situation.
Okay. So either one is fine.
Yeah, I'm not hyphenated. I just, like when I was my first marriage, I kept Farrell as my middle name just because it's my birth name, and my SAG name is Terry Farrell. My legal first name's Teresa, actually, with an H. But
Oh, that I did not know.
you didn't?
No.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
And but so I've always been. It just feels kind of funny, like somebody. I've had friends who have gotten married and changed their name, and then they call with their married name, and I'm like, don't know who this is. And then they say their maiden name, right? And you're like, oh shit, yeah, now I know who you are. So yeah, my mother-in-law now because she does a hyphen, she calls me Farrell Nimoy, and it's just, or I'm in that situation, I'm Terry Nimoy. You know what I mean? If we go to a fundraiser or something, I'm Terry Nimoy.
You have so many choices. This is great.
I know, and I'm so used to it. It's so crazy. I think that's a good thing about being an actor. It's not such a weird thing about your name. It's like,
yeah.
Some people think of me as Valerie Desmond, and they don't know my first name. They don't know my real first name.
Valerie Desmond.
What's that?
Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah.
So before we get too deep into it, we do want to see that cool shirt behind you.
Oh, yes. You know what? I forgot the man's name who does all this, but this makes me think of Chase, because my first one was from Chase, Be Kind, and it had a heart on it. But then I saw this one, Rika Sharma had it on Twitter, and so I got it because purple is my favorite color, and not all things are cool in purple. But then they asked me if I wanted to design my own, and not unlike this situation, I said, wait till I'm actually doing something new or different, and then let's parlay it into something, so I have a reason to talk about something new. And I'm so glad you're still doing the podcast, because Aron approached me to do the podcast, and I was like, you know what? I am so kind of sick of talking about the same stuff over and over again. Can we just wait till I have something new to talk about, or some time's passed? Because the 50th anniversary kind of made me, overwhelmed with stuff, because that's when Adam and I started going out. And so I was going to film festivals with him for The Love of Spock. So we'd get interviewed, and then I'd get interviewed on my things. And so it was like, 25 years later, I am sick of talking about it.
Now
you just need a little commercial break on talking about your career that happened 25 years ago. You know what I mean?
I do. Well, I remember it seemed like you came back on the scene like with a vengeance.
Boom.
Yeah. It's like, oh, Terry's here. And then it was like, oh, you were everywhere. And I thought that was great, because I had missed you and hadn't seen you in such a long time. Yeah. I
know. Because I was in Pennsylvania.
You were in Pennsylvania, yeah.
With a baby.
What was that like for you? Did you miss being back in the Hollywood scene when you were out there?
Actually, you know what? I think I really needed to. I miss being creative, but I was very much a workaholic. I worked every time I had a chance to work. I just was so grateful to work that I had a hard time saying no, even when I was completely depleted. And that was, so in that sense, it was good to be just in a family unit with my baby, and I could focus on that, and I couldn't go to work. I didn't have a choice. But it was a difficult transition for me. Yeah, there were times when, I was a little resentful that I'd lived on the top of the mountain in the Hollywood Hills, and there I was now in the middle of freaking nowhere. But then I made friends and I felt comfortable there. And it's really weird now transitioning, being back here. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be. There's some people I'd like to reconnect with, that everybody's too far away because now I'm a West Side person. And then there's other people that I have tried to reconnect with, and we just, have gone in different directions, or some stuff is the same. And I don't want it in my life anymore. I'm not okay with some stuff, I've matured, I've grown up. I don't have time for people that aren't really taking care of themselves or in their authentic selves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, or they don't bring a level of positivity to the equation, and it's a minus having them around. Yeah, it's not a plus.
I'm right here, you guys.
Sorry, Ryan.
Sorry, Ryan.
If you could just mute
I
yourself.
totally forgot.
No, but before, LA is a really big town, and it's true. Like, people think that if you're back in LA, you're going to see all your old friends, but the truth is, if you say you're on the west side of LA, I'm in the valley. People might be downtown or out in Pasadena or something. Man, you might as well be in a different state. But before we get too much into that,
that was a perfect timing of that coffee, Ciroc.
I do think Ciroc almost brought up something really good. I think he was going in that direction, which was that awesome quilt you were doing back in Pennsylvania that's behind you.
Thank you.
Look at it if possible.
Yeah, so you want me to get closer?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
You said you were taking up quilting when you were in Pennsylvania, right?
Yes. I needed to be creative with something, and I always want to make quilts because my grandmother and my great-grandmother, they were all into making quilts, but super old-fashioned. And I found a class at a place called the Quilt Maker's Cottage. I made a table runner, and then I had it finished like the first weekend. It was like a 4-week class. I had it finished the first weekend, and then I made like table runners for everybody. Then I was on to quilts, and I hadn't even finished the class. So these women loved me. They were like, "Oh, wow, you're like us." These women are really obsessive. So this quilt is, I can't remember the name of the quilt pattern. I think I have the book somewhere. That part doesn't matter. But this is the fabric before I made the quilt.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Nice.
And what I did was I did 6 layers of the quilt, and then I cut these pieces, and then you put them back together, and they become like a kaleidoscope, as you can see.
It does look like a kaleidoscope.
Isn't that cool? And those are one of my favorite things in the whole world, are kaleidoscopes.
And it actually has its own pattern, which is unlike the pattern that you just showed me.
Exactly. Thank you for getting it. That is exactly what it is. Yeah. It's like you create your own fabric.
That's really cool.
So,
That's amazing.
Thank you. So my mother-in-law got me some built-ins for my office. Here's actually, I have Aaron up there right now.
Oh, good.
There he is, right next to Bill. Sorry about
with his kids.
There.
You got a whole bunch of pictures of them.
There. Do you see him?
Yeah.
Wait. Keep it on there. There we go.
Right there. You got it? It's sort of hard because I'm seeing you out of the corner of my eye.
I see it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
There with my, before I knew he was going to be my father-in-law. Where is he? There he is. How
is
about
that the two of you?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Primordials.
That's crazy.
That's when I just loved Spock.
I never met Leonard.
I didn't know I was going to love Spock's son. Oh, you didn't?
No, I never met him, and that was one of the characters I think I would have liked to have met the most in the history of the franchise. He's actually on my top top list, of people that I think really were like great characters. I told Adam that I about my affection for his father and the work that he did.
Mm.
I think he was one of the great geniuses of the show, and one of the brilliant minds of our show.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't be here, right?
Right.
That's right.
That's for sure.
So,
I mean, we think, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I liked him off the camera as well, not just what he did on the show and the way he did played Spock's character, but I liked the intellect that he carried himself with, the poise, just the way he handled himself in real life as well. I think he's just pretty smart guy.
Classy guy. Yeah.
Classy guy. Yeah. I wish I got a chance to meet him.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to have you over for dinner. And you too, Ryan. You guys will have to come over.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the Bilbo Baggins song, right? I'm sure that's where you're going, right?
That's
we have it on a loop. We have it on a loop. Downstairs in our.
You know what? That documentary, the documentary that Adam did about his father.
For the Love of Spock.
For the Love of Spock.
Adam did a great job, didn't he?
Was a great job.
What? Yeah.
I went to a screening of that. And I was like, wow, I didn't know this much about, like there was so much about Leonard Nimoy that I didn't know. And what I really walked away with from that documentary was where he got this symbol from.
Right, me too.
Where they explained it in detail.
Over there.
And he pulled it out of thin air, using his surroundings like Kaiser Sosa from The Usual Suspects, and I loved that. And I loved that. So when I saw that, I said, "Wow, that's great! There's such a backstory behind this symbol that essentially he created."
Even the pinch. Wasn't he the one who created the pinch? You're like, creative guy.
Well, the story was
he taught acting too. Did you get? I can't remember. Was that in the? Yeah, he taught acting too when he first came out here. Isn't that interesting? I wonder if that helped him be a better actor and think about things differently. To be in practice of teaching other people to open their minds and see things that they can't see. You know what I mean? If you get in practice of that and you're watching other people and helping them, I wonder if that helps your creative process too.
You absolutely do become better at the thing that you're teaching. When you teach, I mean, watch Sirach, when your daughter asks you to help her with her math homework, you're going to get better at math because you're going to have to understand it in a way that you can explain it to somebody that's never seen it before. So it does.
Yeah. It's not working well with Spanish though, unfortunately. My daughter's like, you don't know what that means, do you? I'm like, no, I don't.
How old is she now?
She's 8.
What?
Yeah.
How does this happen?
I don't know, but now I have to get an iPhone, I guess. I don't know.
Do you not have an iPhone?
No, she wants an iPhone.
Oh, no, not at 8.
Yeah, I know. That's what kids are asking for nowadays.
No, I would say that's true. But I think Max was 10. Oh, God, he might have been younger. And you know why? It's because I went away to seminars to learn how to be a yoga teacher. So I'd be gone for a whole weekend. But during the week, I would let Max play games on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
When he was with his father was like, hell no, you can't have my phone. So we got him a phone.
She got him a phone. Yeah.
But just so he could play games. Yeah.
Well, I told her she has to follow the same path I did. So she's going to start with a beeper.
Oh!
and then get a 2-way. It's a long way to go. She's got a long way to go.
Get her an iPad. Get the iPad. She can play with the iPad.
She has an iPad. She keeps talking about her friends at school and they all have phones.
It's not cool. Girls are scary, man. Yeah. I'm so happy I had a boy.
They're a lot easier. That's one thing.
Yes, you guys are.
That was one thing
You're welcome.
Was revealed to me in the documentary was how doing the show kind of took him away from his family. The show and the movies took him, Leonard, away from his family, and it makes me think of other parallels in which actors are trying to raise families, and there's only so much time that you can dedicate to the family when you're working on a series or you're constantly working.
Oh God, yeah. It's one of the reasons I wanted to leave.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I took a break as well. I mean, I needed to build a family, and you can't do both. You can't build a family. You can't bond with your children if you're never there. So you need to take time out to kind of dedicate to your family if that's what you want.
You know, we were kind of talking about that before we started recording. You were talking about how Aron brought his little kids in, and he did end up, you know, after Deep Space Nine ended, he was always looking for a job that would afford him the time to spend with his kids, because as an actor, you just really can't. I mean, right? You're doing 16-hour days, 5 days a week.
Yeah, there's.
God, I don't know how Nana did it, honestly. And it's one of the reasons why I was okay with leaving, because I just thought, I can't, like I was telling you guys earlier, I just, you're here and there's work. It's so hard to say no to it. But I looked at this little baby, and I waited all my life for him, to be ready for him, to be a better mom to him, to be the mom I always wanted to have to him. And it's too hard. I can't split myself in that many directions. I can't. I don't even know how to do it right now. I think, you know, Max and Adam are really supportive of me working, and I think I can't. I just, it's like he's working on a book, and he's working really hard, and he pays for that mortgage payment and the electricity. The least I can do is do groceries and make dinner and lunch and breakfast. You know what I mean? Those things seem like pretty reasonable things to take care of. And just being a part of a family, there's no time to be gone for 12 hours. When they talk about, like, people are like, oh yeah, 12 hours at least. Like, yeah, at least. And not to mention, you got to learn your lines. You got to, I don't know how to do it. I really don't know how I would do it. It's too all consuming. And then how do you shut people out so that you can have the time to work on a character, work on your lines, just mentally prepare? You know, it's just so all consuming, don't you think?
I think it is. Now that my daughter's getting older, though, I'm starting to feel like I have more time to be able to venture, because she's not so dependent on me. You know, she doesn't need me to change diapers or give her a bottle. But, you know, there is still a part of me that knows, hey, if I book a series in Vancouver and I'm going to be there for 26 weeks or, you know, half of the year, that I'm going to be missing time with her. And those are the kinds of decisions and sacrifices that we make as actors. Those are the choices that we end up facing when we have to balance our personal life. And
you know, that's a really good point. So far I haven't had to do that juggling act, but I don't know how you guys do it. I did want to change the channel a little bit, and most people are not, so far that we've asked, they haven't been able to pinpoint their very first memory or the very first time they met Aron. Terry, do you remember when you first met Aron, or was it more that he was just kind of always there?
Well, yeah, I don't remember, I don't know, I kind of remember being behind stage 4, but that wouldn't have been.
Is that the alley you're always talking about, Sirach?
Yeah, it's the alley.
Behind stage, where it's dark after, it's the east side of stage 4. And just, I don't, my impression was just, he just was like a ball of energy. And I just wanted to put my hand out and go, shh. Please stop. Stop. And I just remember thinking, now it's crazy because it's like, I found him really irritating at first. And then I just found him amusing. And then we had this really, like, we went through this really kind of crunchy time where he would have this weird banter with me and I didn't get him. And I was, and we like had, we had conflict over it. And then basically, he just, we would have these conversations and we'd have a conflict and then we'd resolve it. And it's sort of like my relationship with Michael Dorn, except for the energy. But the conflict resolution became a super healthy, friendly banter where, you know, way into, after the show was over, it was like doing the conventions where we found this really nice place to be at. And I think maybe it's because none of us were under this horrible pressure of thinking we were going to get fired. Because I would say that was probably the worst feeling. The overall feeling that you were replaceable was the worst feeling on the set that everybody went through, that everybody thought it was only them. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea about Sid. It was like, what? You thought they were going to fire you? Why would they fire you? And it was like, then he went through this whole thing with me and I was like, wow, you know, it's weird. All the stuff, the little mind games that were happening. So when it all went away, it's like we're a bunch of brothers and sisters that got together and now we're like, Dad told you that? Well, he told me this. And that. And then it made us all closer. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I know the next generation's close, but what I really like is like, we are a group of super down to earth, really authentic people. And I'm just grateful that I got to know Aron better. And if it weren't for the conventions, I probably wouldn't have, you know? I'm really grateful for that. I'm grateful for the whole franchise, that this is how it's come together. And I really think it's a big difference from when we started doing conventions to when Voyager started and then Enterprise. And I just feel this sense that Deep Space really set the bar high for people to expect us to really be kind. You know, and I don't hear that all the time from the next gen people, about the next gen people.
You know, you touched upon something that I think a lot of people have noticed too, is that Aron was really good at communicating issues away, you know, like whether it's an interpersonal issue or an outward issue, you know, he was good at kind of like talking it through and really, you know, bridging the gap or he was just a really, really good communicator, especially through
he was. And he was willing to be wrong too. He was willing to go, hey, I'm sorry. And Renegades, when we worked on Renegades together, I was so happy for him that he got to be a badass. He was so good in it. Yeah, it was so great. And we ran lines and stuff with Walter. And they had a couple moments. And then Aron felt so bad. Like, don't tell Walter what's what.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not a good move.
Yeah, Walter's one of the OGs. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah. Poor Aron.
One thing that's kind of tickles me is he was slightly irritating. And
you said at the memorial that you were like 2 hours in the car with Aron, like, oh my God.
Oh yeah.
It made me laugh out loud.
That's what I was thinking. Like 2 hours with this guy? Oh, he's gonna irritate the hell out of me.
Did you take a Valium?
No, I didn't take a Valium. He
doesn't need one.
It was surprisingly really good. It was really a chance for us to talk, I guess, you know, and get to know each other, like our own like lives, what was going on, how he thought about things. Because I'm not on social media and I don't see all the pictures and I don't know what he posts on Twitter. So I don't know what's current with Aron, except if we talk about it in the conversation. But Max said that he was, you know, Max mentioned the irritating part of him, like the thing that would just get under his skin. And it felt like that was one of the like he almost did that purposefully. Like he wasn't accidentally irritating. He was poking. He was like he was just
prodding.
He was prodding.
Yeah,
He was like,
yeah.
let me see if I can get under her skin. Let me see if I can tell her, if I can say something that'll just get you irritated enough to come fire one back at me. And now we've got a banter. Now we've got like a thing going.
Yeah.
That was his thing.
He liked that. It's like, working the puzzle out, the emotional, intellectual puzzle out.
Yeah.
But I felt the same way when I'd be with him and he's in the green room with me. And then it was never as bad as I was remembering. And I think it's because I had Aron from when we first started Deep Space in my head. But I didn't even realize he was that much younger than me. I'm having my birthday at the end of November. So we're about 5.5, 6 years apart. So it was like, wow. So when I started and I was 28, he was probably 22. But at the time I thought he was much younger, but then I didn't know how old he was because of his size. And I felt like, I don't want to ask him. I don't want to put him on the spot because he seemed super sensitive at that point in his life about his size and everything. And what I find interesting to me though, is I tend to have shorter guys be my buddies because we're sort of in this sort of same, because I'm 6 feet tall. I get guys who are like, you're way too tall. And he gets, you're way too short. So it's like, we understand that.
The way too department.
You have the same fight.
Yeah, we do. We're the opposite of what's socially acceptable for our genders, right? Like you must be masculine because you're tall and he must be feminine because he's short. It's like, fuck you guys. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh wait, I had my slip earlier, so we'll figure it out. Sorry.
There's a weird bonding to that,
Do you have any favorite Nog moments? Like just specific any moments where Nog the character did something wacky or interesting or fun, or maybe the writing around it that you really liked?
I think what was really great, and I know this meant a lot to Aron too, when Dax got married to Worf, there was a scene at my bachelorette party where Dax and Nog danced together, and David Livingston, the director, wanted us to make a dance up, and we did. And I part of it was I was with a friend, and her daughter had this thing she'd do called Shirley Cat, and she'd go. So, and then Aron made up that we went around in a circle, and then we went at each other. We went around at each other. So it was cool because we did it together, and it was silly and ridiculous, but it was like the only time that our characters got to do something fun together. And I would be pretty sure that most of those kinds of things, it's the beginning of the real bonding, because it's like being in school and you're partnered with the kid that you don't think you're going to like. And then you do something together and you're like, oh, now I have a new friend. Who knew?
Yeah.
I didn't know them.
And that dance has lived on another, 20 plus years since then.
I know.
I believe
he's brought me on stage to do it with him. He's like, do you mind? I'm like, no, let's do it.
And Sirach was cosplaying Aron by doing this in a pre.
Were you really? Oh.
No, that was Michael Jackson Thriller, but yes, it was close.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Or Nog.
No, I remember that day, actually. I remember all of us were cracking up when that scene was being filmed. So it was kind of really fun for all of us. And that was the fun that we had with Aron. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the kind of fun that we would have on the set with Aron. There was a lot of playfulness, a lot of joking, and he wasn't afraid to embarrass himself if that's what it took.
Yeah.
That's what it took.
And you know what? Who said that he lived his life out loud? Was it you, Ryan? Somebody at the memorial said about him living his life out loud, and I thought, you know what?
I remember
That's what was so great about him. It wasn't like we all got a different version of him. He was Aron. And
that's exactly right.
The epitome of being authentic. What a beautiful human being.
That's what I was saying. We got the real Aaron. He didn't pretend to be something that he wasn't. If he irritated you, he irritated you. If he made you laugh, he made you laugh. If he thought he offended you, he would say, "Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. I just said that. I probably said it the wrong way."
And it was usually all three of those things at the same time.
all at the same time. You know, when we would do this show.
Or he'd say, "But when you said blah blah blah,
yeah,
you're right, I did."
Yeah. And we would do when we were doing this show. It's a good thing, you know. He would ask these questions that would go. How long would these questions go, Ryan? Sometimes 3, 4, 5 minutes.
Where he's
asking you a question. Yeah, so Terry, I want to ask you something in that episode because what I think it is, and this is what I thought it was, and I talked to him, and then next thing you know, they're like, let me get an answer in here, and then tell me what you think.
Which question do you want me to answer?
Yeah.
But, you know, Melissa explained to us why that was the case. And we didn't know this before, but she said he wanted to be absolutely positive that people didn't misunderstand him or misconstrue his words. So when he would say, "Hey, what's your favorite color?" he would say, "Well, let me frame that question and put a story around that frame and then explain the story." So that way there was no misunderstanding. So to us, we were just kind of like trying to follow, like, where is this going? Yeah. But now we understand it's because he wanted to make sure that he was being understood.
Yeah.
Made us all laugh.
Yes, he did.
Sirach's like, yeah, but still a 5-minute question.
Still a 5-minute question. Usually when you ask a question,
5-minute question,
you reserve the time for the answer. You don't reserve the time for the question itself.
No, yes. Sorry, the show's over. You're going to have to answer it at another time. We'll have to write in for that response. Oh, my gosh. But you know what? And I think that Max said this really well. I'm going to really miss him irritating me.
Yeah.
Very much. We're going to miss everything that made him stand out to us. Like all the, you know, whether it was being funny or whether it was, you know, poking and prodding or whether it was being passionate or whether it was his creativity, all the little things that made him, you know, special and unique to us. Those are the things that are going to leave the biggest holes, I think. Yeah.
Because he had a big heart. He had a big heart. It never came from a bad place.
I remember doing a panel with Aaron. I forget where it was that we were, but the panel was me, Aaron, and Siddig. And we get out on the stage, and Aaron looks over at Sid and says, "What the hell are you doing here? I understand me and Sirach on this panel. But why are you here?" And Sid's like, "Yeah, I'm asking myself the same question. Would you like me to leave?"
Leave it to Aaron.
Leave it to Aaron to just call it out and just put it right out front at the beginning.
Leave it to Aaron to have the series regular feel out of place.
Feel out of place on DS9 panel.
That's funny. So, Terry, we do only have a few more minutes left with you. But before we go, you know, we like to end the show kind of asking you if there are any specific memories or traits or, you know, just stories about Aaron that you think the public should know was, you know, that maybe they don't know about him.
That we didn't cover.
Or that we did cover.
Or that we did cover. I just think he was the perfect example of a loving, giving human being that was willing to be flawed and happy to work on himself and, you know, really wanted to be understood. And I'm just holding him really close to my heart, and I am, and I always will. I just can't believe he's gone. I want to aspire to be more like him. Yeah. You know, to be fearless.
Yeah. A lot of us have said things like that there are traits in him that we want to emulate now that he's gone. When we look back at that, we think, actually, that was a really good trait, and I should strive to add that trait to my repertoire. One of the things you said in there that I don't think anybody's mentioned before is a willingness to be wrong, or a willingness to be flawed, I think was the word you said. Yeah. And that's a really good point. Was he was willing to be flawed and to say, look, here I am, warts and all. I'm going to try something new. It might not work. It might be weird, but I'm going to give it a shot because I'm brave enough to do it. And he was very, very brave in that respect.
And if I fall on my face, I'm just going to get right back up.
Yeah. One of the things when Aron first approached me about doing the podcast, he said, hey, Ciroc, I know that you're a real private person, and I know you don't really go out. I know that you're like a hermit. And I was like, where is that what people are saying about me? I'm like a hermit, private. But we should do this show. And part of the reason why I want to continue is because I was inspired by Aron's ambitious attempt to be using his voice to the best of his ability, to making sure that his voice was heard, to creating a platform so that his voice could be heard, so that he can contribute. And so I think that's one of the things that inspired me about just, I guess, getting out of my shell, or being, one of the hidden figures in the industry, which say, hey, let me get out of my shell. Let me make myself more visible, because Aron has kind of inspired me to do so. So I thank him for that.
That's funny. Most people, they say do a compliment sandwich. You give a compliment, then you kind of say the thing that needs to be fixed, and then you give another compliment. Aron
really fast.
Aron gave you a flood of insults. It was like, so are you in, buddy?
Yeah. No, he does a different sandwich. It's the insult, compliment, insult. So
and then an apology.
And then the apology. So it's great. It worked out. But I don't know. Every time I get this feeling, once in a while, like I'll just it happens randomly, where his memory just kind of drifts right into my head, and I think, oh man, he's gone. And a moment or a memory that we've shared together drifts into my head, and I either laugh or I tear up. But it's almost like there's a dialogue between us somewhere, where he's like, hey, don't forget, remember that time I did this to you? Don't forget. And that's the kind of, joy that I get really thinking about those treasurable moments.
Yeah, he seems like the kind of guy where the memories that we have with him are not going to go away 30 years from now. We'll forget a lot of stuff, but I think who he is and what he did is going to stay with us forever.
And Terry, he guest starred on our show more than any other actor, 47 times.
Wow.
So, yeah, more than any other actor. I think who was it that came in second? Was it Andrew Robinson?
Yeah, it was Andy.
Probably.
Andy, and right behind him were Max. And
so he, outside of the regular cast, he's done more episodes than any other person. So he really was like an extended family for us.
Yeah, I didn't feel like the guest stars, sure, but our reoccurring characters, I felt like they were it just made the list longer. It didn't. They weren't in ops with me when I was in ops, but what I loved about our show, it was so alive that it didn't feel like, I was happy to see you when you were there, but it never felt like you were gone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like I felt like Aron was there so much that it wasn't like, oh, where have you been? I haven't seen you in 2 years. It's like, hey, I'll see you in another week. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was,
but our show was so alive.
It was alive. Yeah. It was alive. And
that whole world was alive, that it didn't feel because you're connected to so many characters. Do you remember when we did the episode Babel, where we couldn't speak and people were talking?
Yes.
Do you remember how they wouldn't let me put my arm around you? I
do not remember that.
Really? Yeah. The producers were there like, mm-mm. And I'm like, but I was his father's mentor. Nope.
Yeah, and you know what I do remember
Weird.
about the overall of that is that they wanted to, or they purposely made the Nas character be the comforting character for Jake, as opposed to your character, which would actually seem more natural as an old friend of my dad, right?
Good point.
Yeah, it ticked me off because I was like, missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity. Yeah,
we covered this one. That was a first season episode. We did cover that one. We covered the 4th or 5th episode. It was an early one.
Yeah, it was a hard episode. Yeah.
Well,
I miss Avery. I miss Avery too. Sorry, it just made me think of that because it's like I haven't seen him for so long.
Sirach's going to get him on the show.
Really?
I don't know about that.
Don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that to Sirach.
I hope so.
That's wishful thinking.
Can I be a guest host on that episode?
Definitely. I think everybody's going to want to be.
Okay. Shh. We're not talking everybody here. We're talking.
We're not everybody. We're talking
not
Terry.
everybody.
Got it. You outranked
Terry,
us.
you were there when we were in Atlanta. Me, you, and Avery, and he had something to say to the people there in Atlanta.
Yes, he did.
At Dragon Con, and he made it very clear. I'm not playing any games with you. And we were sitting right next. Yeah, we were sitting right next to him, and it was impromptu, but it was based on what happened before that.
Yes, someone took our car.
Yeah, they took our car, and
they didn't acknowledge us. They walked right in front, like literally right in front of us,
and
just took the car. It was terrible.
They treated us poorly. Avery did not like it, and he let the people know that he did not like it.
Good.
Which was great because it was a moment that I actually cherished because Avery did stand up for me, and he stood up for all of us. Yeah, eloquently. So, I mean, we share those moments, and I miss Avery too.
I bet you do.
I miss Avery too.
All right, friends. We got to run.
Okay. Mwah.
Thank you, Terry.
I've actually never gotten to meet Avery, but he seems amazing. I love hearing stories about him. But thank you so much for joining us.
There will be more.
There will be more.
I bet they're going to be awesome. Thank you.
Keep quilting. Keep up the quilting. I love it.
I will. I just started back again. So
if you got any extra table runners next time I see you.
Okay, I'll work on one just for you.
Just for me, or maybe a bandana. I don't know if they quilt.
A bandana quilt. I love it.
Yeah. I mean something fast and easy. You know?
Fast and easy. Okay.
I'm not touching that one.
No.
All right, yeah. Let's not touch that one.
Thanks
I'm
so
not
much
touching.
for joining us. And
thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And for everybody at home, always remember the 7th rule.